Well, everybody, we wanted to hop on today. This is Clint Schweitzer and Noah Groniger from Starcade Media. Thanks for hopping on. We've just both been so overwhelmed with just American exceptionalism in the past couple of weeks, thanks to the release of the hit film Top Gun Maverick, that we wanted to come on, talk about the film, see how many of you have seen it, get some of your responses, and answer any questions you might have, because it's summertime, Noah. The summer blockbuster is back, and that came in a big way this May with the release of Top Gun Maverick, a film that has been anticipated for over 2 years. The release date changed 7 times. The very first trailer played during Super Bowl 54, in which the Chiefs beat the San Francisco 49ers. And now, all these years later, the film was released, and we've all seen it, and really to great reviews. I have not heard one bad review of this film. I've not heard one.
I haven't either. It's crazy. I mean, you mean this summer blockbusters, there's no Transformers, there's no superheroes. Where are they? We're missing them. No, we're not. This takes us back. This is nostalgia, hits you right in the face from the word go, and made it never lets you go. And like you said, I probably went in with too high of expectations. It kind of met all those, which I was kind of surprised about, because like you said, I haven't heard one negative review either.
There hasn't been. And I think that as time goes on, and this movie's pulled in over $500 million at the box office globally, I think that as time goes on, this film is going to be looked at as one of the greatest films of all time. And I know that's a lot, and that's a high praise, and that's something that's almost unfair to heap upon, a film that's made post 2000. But I think that's where we are. I think that as I look on it, and as you've seen it more recently than me, I've had almost a couple weeks now to resonate on it and to kind of let the emotions fade away, and to sort of look at it more objectively. It's got to be my favorite movie of the 2000s. I think it hit all the right notes. It had the perfect mix of just wonderful nostalgia that brought you back to the greatness of the first movie. And let's face it, the first movie, directed by Tony Scott, was merely more than just and he admitted as much. This is a MTV music video in the sky. They had to make up the idea of this Top Gun trophy. There, no such thing even exists. A lot of this took liberties with the Navy in real military situations. And you know what? We bought every minute of it because it was pure nostalgic. It just dripped with nostalgia. This one takes kind of more of a serious approach, not as many chances to breathe. And we'll get to some of our complaints in a minute. But to me, this hit every right chord with me. And I think it shows, Noah, that the average American movie-going audience, this is the kind of movies that they want. They don't want CGI fest. They don't want necessarily a million different superhero universes and spin-offs and remakes and reboots and redos. This kind of filmmaking works. Tom Cruise, say what you want about his Scientological ways, but he is the most dedicated actor of our lifetime, and he continues to do it and continues to put in the work and turn out great film after great film. And I'm telling you, just looking at it, is this one of the best films of the entire 2000s?
It has to be. To be fair, I haven't seen many movies in the 2000s because I feel like they haven't been very well made, very well done. The stories haven't been there. The heartwarming kind of moments haven't been there. The action hasn't been there. People will point out I'm just not really into the superhero realm. I know a lot of people are. They have that niche. But like you said, I think America has shown, everyone has shown that this is the type of movie they want. They want this fast-paced action. They want a movie that takes us back and goes back to that nostalgia. And just all these superhero movies in this world, it's just cookie cutter. It's easy. So they just keep replaying those over and over and over again. It's a copycat thing in Hollywood. And I just don't see an end to it. The previews before the movie, that's all I saw was either a cartoon or a superhero movie. That's it. That's all you get.
Somewhere along the way, Noah, the film industry lost us. I worked at Hollywood Video as my first job back in, I believe, 2000s when I started. I grew up going to mom and pop video stores in my hometown of Clinton, Missouri, and I was all about the hunt for the great films of the day, delving back into older films and just really immersing myself in the 80s, because that's when I grew up, and then the early 90s as well. And I feel like somewhere along the way, the film industry lost me. And, I think that Top Gun Maverick could be a real turning point. The film's budget was almost $200 million, and it's likely to return close to $1 billion when it's all said and done. To me, this is a sure sign that movie goers want more. You mentioned it. No green screens, no talk of masks, COVID, or how much America sucks. Instead, you have jaw-dropping flight sequences with the actors taking on substantial, risks in this film. And as a former fan of the film industry, I want more of this, and I want less Thor.
I don't think you're going to get it. I think this is a one-off. Top Gun. I mean, they may continue with the Top Gun series, using some of these younger actors moving forward, but I just don't think you're going to see more films like this. Now, people may see the success that this has had and try to go back and copy some things and do some remakes. I just don't know if it's going to have this success or be this sustainable that you're going to see this. They might try a few of these type of movies, and then they're just going to fall back into their old routines of superhero and just all that kind of stuff. Superman's, Batman's, Jokers. I mean, whatever, Marvel, DC universe, they're just going to go right back to that.
And those are big money makers too. So it's not as if people are churning out movies that people don't want to see. I don't know what the answer is. I know this is the kind of movies I like. I know I grew up, Noah, we talk about it all the time. American exceptionalism was the taste of the day in the 80s. You had Rocky sequels, you had Rambo sequels, American exceptionalism everywhere, Indiana Jones, and Chuck Norris movies, and Van Damme, who's from Belgium, is still playing it on, playing roles of Americans like in Bloodsport and Kickboxer and things like that. Adam Cole, who's just a great follower and someone that always has good points, says he hasn't seen the movie yet. Hearing it's one of the best ever made, no joke. Now I'm more excited seeing it that you're discussing it. It's really hard to, when you talk about best movies ever made, that's just a whole nother topic. And that's a whole nother, I guess there's some recency bias here seeing this movie. It like I said, it hit every note with me, and it just had me on the edge of my seat. I've never seen action sequences in a movie that moved me like this, that had me on the edge of my seat, where I believed in every movement and that every single little situation could be life or death. And that I was cheering. I mean, people in this movie, I haven't seen it in years. In the middle of this movie, there's a certain few moments, and we're going to have some spoilers in here, guys. Maybe nothing too specific, but we are going to have a few. So Adam, kind of view at your own risk here. There's a few moments that absolutely had your heart pounding through your chest. And that to me is just a lost art. I don't know that I've ever seen a movie where, even in the first Top Gun, where, I care about the characters, I care what's going on, but really a lot of the flight sequences are kind of cookie cutter. You kind of lose focus on what's going on. Okay, Iceman's trying to get a missile lock. There's not a lot at stake during the Top Gun flight sequences until later in the movie. But in this one, it's balls to the walls action, and it's life and death, and every moment meant something.
Yeah, I mean, to go to best movie ever, it's probably not that for me. It might be in my top 10. I've got to think about that, give it some more thought, but it's way up there, and I did not expect that from a movie in 2022. It's been a long time since I could say that a movie kind of reached my top 10. But the action sequences, like you said, I've never seen anything like it. Nothing in a Van Damme, nothing in a Stallone or Schwarzenegger, no action sequence like this I've ever seen. The movie did start off a little slower for me. Like I said, I think I went in with way too high of expectations. Like I said, it kind of came around and hit those for me. But in the beginning, I was like wondering, okay, where's this going? Where are we going here? Is this going to kind of am I going to be the only one in America that doesn't love this movie? I was getting nervous. I was getting scared. I was having anxiety because my mom, who hates Tom Cruise and all these other people, they're Scientology. I'm just not a fan of his. I don't want to see a movie. Then they went to see it and said, oh my God, you have to see this movie. I love it. It's the best thing I've ever seen.
So yeah, you kind of had a couple weeks to let everybody get their reviews out.
Let it marinate.
It's building up, and I'm so glad that you enjoyed it the way that I've not, like I said, I haven't read a bad review. If we do go into some things that maybe we didn't like as much, and this is going to be nitpicking. I mean, this is like, trying to pick apart, the Chiefs Super Bowl 54 win. Like, well, we were behind 20-10 with 5 minutes to go. That sucked. Okay, well, you won the Super Bowl. It was one of the greatest moments of your life. This is one of my favorite films I've seen in a long time. So some of the nitpicking things you talked about, kind of the slow start, and I don't know that I would consider it a slow start. It was a start that I was maybe not necessarily like you on board with immediately. Like Tom Cruise, his character of Maverick, is kind of, has this job within the Navy that he's doing, and it's not really slow. It's just, I wasn't really on board. Like, this is so great. I'm dialed in.
Probably a better way to put it. I didn't think they'd be in the sky flying action right from the beginning. But like you said, just that I didn't really know what I was seeing. I thought introducing the characters one by one, kind of coming into the bar. I don't think that's giving too much away here. Adam Cole. So no huge spoiler here. I thought they could have started off with them maybe at the Top Gun place, the guys talking to him, John Hamm, about kind of why they were chosen, their background, give it a little more than just, okay, these random Top Gun pilots are coming in. What's your call name? What's yours? I just didn't think there was enough connection there. And then moving on, I thought there could have been more Rooster and Maverick scenes. The movie kind of comes down to that. And I thought there should have been more conversations and confrontations between those two.
I do agree with you there. Miles Teller as Rooster, it's absolutely an unbelievable job that he did. And those scenes that you're talking about now, see, you and I, we always say the same thing when we go on Netflix trying to find a movie. I'm going right to the 90-minute thriller section because a movie more than 90 minutes, it's just killer for me in this day and age. Now we're talking about a 2-hour and 20-minute runtime where one of our nitpicks is we didn't get enough maybe development here or time to breathe here. That's a real challenge because this film had a long runtime, but it didn't feel like it. By the end, you didn't want it to end. But looking back, I think you're right. There's a few moments where, in the first film, you had a chance for the actors to just breathe and go do things fun. They're playing volleyball, they're at the club, and it's more lighthearted. This is kind of thrust into a serious mission from the get-go. Very little time to kind of let this thing resonate and to have the characters have these lighthearted moments. It's very serious, and these pilots are all very serious, and it goes right into it immediately. I think you had the bar scene where, you've seen in the trailer, Miles Teller is playing Great Balls of Fire, Maverick seeing this and sort of reminiscing about Goose doing it in that bar. I thought that was just tremendously done. It wasn't too much of a throwback. It was a callback that worked and made sense. And then you had the football scene kind of on the beach that took place of the volleyball scene. And that was kind of your moments where the characters, I would like to know more. And guess what, Noah, you kind of disagreed with me here when we talked. You're going to know more because this film's going to be franchised out and we're going to know these pilots a lot better going forward. This movie's made $500 million. I think that all these actors did a great job, and these pilots, we're going to get to know them more going forward in future films.
Yeah, and going back, you touched on the Rooster playing Great Balls of Fire on the piano. At the beginning of that, I thought it was a little too convenient, just kind of fell right into, maybe a little too cheesy to start out with. But it's tough to come up with a way to get into that. And I think the moment that you get from that, with Maverick kind of stopping in his tracks, looking through the window, seeing him playing that, remembering back to that time, it's totally worth it, and you had to do it. So even though it may have started out and you're like, what? He's really playing that, just like in the last movie his dad did, but it's totally worth it. The moment hits on all levels, so you just had to do it. That's the way you had to get to that. And I mean, like you said, it's going to be franchised out. I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that if there's less Tom Cruise and these characters. They will have to do some more development. So maybe I will get to love these characters more. I already love Rooster. I didn't get enough Hangman and some of the others, so I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that.
Well, Matt Beck, my good buddy, who I just ran into in Pensacola Beach, Florida, like 2 months ago. He says no political agendas. I kind of disagree with that because I think there was one, not an overtone, but definitely let's be honest, this was approved by the Pentagon back in like 2019. Obviously, there's a clear message to the rest of the world that, hey, America's still a pretty great country. I think that is a political agenda, even if it's just an overarching one. But no over-the-top sex scenes, no drug use, a movie that makes you feel every feeling. That is so true. I've never seen a movie where I laughed, cried, and cheered all in one movie. That's unbelievable, Matt. Great observation. His 11-year-old and 7-year-old sons have talked me into going and seeing it a second time. I think a lot of people are doing that exact thing, which is the rarest of the rare in the film industry. You've hit on it, Matt. That is so true. And I think there is an underlying agenda here, which is that this country, which has been dragged through the mud over the last 2 years, there is no America sucks in this. Let me tell you this. The pilots in this film, there's a female, there's 2 African-American pilots, and there was no, they're just there. They're there and they matter. And there was no like, oh, well, this woman had to overcome, all that horrible prejudice about being a female pilot in the Navy. No, she's there. She earned it. The 2 African-American pilots are there and you believe in them and you're happy that they're a part of things. And this whole group has been assembled for a reason. And that's, to me, Americana to a T, that everyone can go out and achieve, and that everyone in this universe has achieved at the highest level, becoming, which, by the way, this is the top 1% of people in this country can do this, to be behind one of those planes, to be able to pull 7 Gs against your body without your eyes popping out of your head, without just dying, and that's actually brought up in the film, which is another anxiety that happens. So I'm gushing with it. I think this will go on. And Noah, we've talked about seeing it a second time as well. So hope that those of you who haven't seen it yet will do it. And we wanted to come on and talk about this. It's been a while. We're making a transition from football season into the summertime, and we're going to have a lot more content and a lot more stuff coming up. But Noah, we just thought this very important to do this. We appreciate all the comments. We're getting a lot of good ones.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments here. We thank you all for coming in. And just one last kind of thing that I wanted to touch on. We talked about we wanted more Rooster and Maverick, and you're like, it was already a long run time. What are they going to do? Push this into 2.5, 3 hours? I think if you cut the romance, it didn't work. It didn't hit. It seemed forced. And so if you cut that and add more Rooster and Maverick scenes, I think this could have been even better, although it's already the best movie of the last 22 years. So it's doing fine.
Yeah, we didn't really follow up enough on the complaints because that one is one of them. I thought Jennifer Connolly was good. She looks really good. I mean, you could play the the timeline game, which is, Tom Cruise is 59, Jennifer Connelly is 51. She would have been 14 or 15 when Top Gun was made. So like Penny Benjamin as the character, it just doesn't work. But like obviously Kelly McGillis, there was no way she was going to be a part of this. Her appearance, whatever the case.
Meg Ryan as Carol in the first one, Goose's wife right there. I thought it would have been nice if she would have been in it to have some conversations between Rooster and Maverick, but obviously she didn't want to be in it, so there's nothing you can do about that.
Well, yeah, and when it doesn't work out with a character from a legacy film, you just kill them, like Adrian and Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
It's what you do. So another thing is they did not name the enemy. I would like to have seen the enemy be named. Who are we going after here? I think it was clearly it was supposed to be Russia, as it was in the first film, Top Gun. They never say Russia. They're talking about Russia going at, the MiGs being the counter plane that they're going after. I think this was clearly Russia, but it was not said. I think especially with what's going on in Ukraine and things like that, or over in the Ukraine and over all of that, like you could have easily like raised the bar just even more on this. People getting on board with this by saying this is Russia. We're going after Russia.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, I don't care. You didn't like it in the 80s when, when Rocky Balboa, beat the crap out of Ivan Drago in Moscow. You know what? That's okay. I think we should have had an enemy here. But again, those are all very common things. But yeah, I think you could cut the love story. It just didn't. There was nothing about it that was necessary. I thought Jennifer Connelly was good, but just kind of why. Other than it's a summer blockbuster and you just sort of have to have. Is this the best summer blockbuster of all time? What are your memories? Like, to me, I think back to really two that hit for me, which was like in, I think, 96 and 97, you had Independence Day and Armageddon. And this totally brought me back to those and those kind of feelings. Like Independence Day, I saw over a 4th of July weekend. It was amazing. I still one of my favorite movies. This is better than those films. That kind of vibe, though.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Independence Day. I mean, remember going to the movie, seeing it, and then coming home, and like the next weekend, me and the family, like you were talking about earlier, going to video stores. We all went to Quick Trip and got some drinks and candy, then went to the Blockbuster, rented Independence Day. We just got this new surround sound system. So we all sat down and watched that as a family. That's something missing. That's something I think you can do here with this. If it ever comes to streaming, it will. So you can all gather around as a family and watch this. Like Matt Beck was talking about earlier, there's no huge political agenda. There's no woke things. There's no like grotesque sex scenes or over-the-top sex scenes. So you can sit down and watch this with your family. I think that's a good thing about it as well.
One last thing, we got to get to this Lady Gaga song, Hold My Hand. This sort of takes the place of the Berlin song, Take My Breath Away, from Top Gun. I thought this song was a miss. I don't know that it had a lot of vibes that connected me to the film and its use. Like Take My Breath Away was sort of played throughout the film, and we do get Danger Zone. It's in the first 90 seconds and it blows your socks off and you're in from the beginning.
For sure.
But this song, like, I don't know, like it's if you see the Lady Gaga video, it's actually really good, and she's like on a airplane hangar and she's dressed in a flight suit. That's pretty cool. But like the song, and it sort of plays us out of the film. Not a big fan of the song.
I wasn't a big fan of that either, but I wasn't paying too much attention to that as I saw the movie in MX40. That's where your seats move along with the action. Whenever he's on the motorcycle, wind blows in your face, kind of from the armrest. So it was an immersive experience. The seats weren't the most comfortable thing in the world, but I think you're just in it for that experience to, whenever the planes take off, your seats jet back, and it's something different. I think everybody should experience it if you can find one near you, an MX4D studio.
A good question from Adam is rate the music 0 to 10. I'm going to give it a 7 because it's a very good soundtrack. There's a lot of classic rock songs like play, in the bar scene, and the score is really good. We've got Danger Zone. Apparently Kenny Loggins recorded like a new version of it they didn't use. I'm not sure why that was. I talked to Steve Stevens, who is Billy Idol's guitarist, and he performed the original Top Gun theme. He won an Oscar for that theme from 1986. He performed it, and he said that one of the producers called him and said, "Steve, we're not going to need you to come in and re-record this. We're just kind of looking to reuse the theme, and we're going to use some synthesizer and redo it." You hear the classic theme kind of throughout. I'd say it's 7. It doesn't overshadow. It's maybe the first one I think had more pronounced music. You had Mighty Wings by Cheap Trick. It was awesome. And some of the flight sequences. This one uses a lot more score, a lot more atmosphere, and little notes and things from the songs, like the Lady Gaga song. You hear notes from it kind of throughout, and you get the full thing kind of at the end. So I'm going to give it a 7. Music's important to me. I'm a soundtrack person. Top Gun soundtrack's one of my probably top 10 of all time, up there with like God I Love. We talk about composers all the time. Field of Dreams, the score in that is just absolutely unbelievable. James Horner, John Williams always does a great job.
Glory, Home Alone, all sorts of
So Harold Faltermeyer, I think it does did the first Top Gun. I think was involved in this. Again, Steve Stevens talked about it. He told me on our On the Road to Rock show just a couple months ago, hey, the theme's out there. I performed it. I won an Oscar for it, and they're going to use whatever they use of it. So yeah, fan of the music. I think Lady Gaga brings it down a little bit, not because it's her, not because if it's her at all. I think she's a big star of the day. I'm fine with it. I just don't think the song really connected. Like I was like, I just hold my hand concept. Like I don't know. I don't know. And Lana Floyd-Royer agrees. That's good. We're the only people in the world that have these certain weird like tics about stuff. So yeah, guys. Well, thank you so much. Days of Confused. Oh God, before we go, Days of Confused.
Yes.
Adam, I always watch that in the spring, like towards the end when school's out. It just puts me right there. I used to do that whenever I was in high school, and I do it now that I've been, in education for a lot of years. So Days of Confused, one of the greatest of all time. Huge fan of The Crow. A huge fan. I mean, there's so many great movie soundtracks. Footloose. I'm sorry. That's great stuff. So many more, guys. We'll do conversations like this going on. We did not expect to be on this long talking about it. Thank you guys so much for being a part of it. StarcadeMedia.com, guys. We got so much coming out. We've rebranded. We see our new logo. We've got merchandise at our store. If you go to StarcadeMedia.com, we've got merchandise. It's actually 35% off today. We got more than just Starcade stuff. So thank you guys so much for being a part of everything that we do. Keep checking the website, the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram. There's TikTok now. It's all Starcade Media all the time. Thanks so much for being a part of our Top Gun Maverick discussion, guys. Thanks so much.